Does everyone else have that post-Thanksgiving food hangover right now? I am dragging these past 2 days, guys. But the show must go on. So, to get myself hyped for this episode, I did what every normal person does. I cleaned and rearranged all of the furniture in my bedroom, my workspace, put on a face mask, and invited my best friend of 20 years over for a little tea party, you might say. But before I get to that, I want to do a little reflecting. There were many times in my marriage and relationship that I knew I wasn't making the right choice. And let me be more clear. When I say the right choice, I mean the right choice for myself. The beaten down, empty version of myself that I share with you all throughout these episodes truly thought that she was laying herself down for her marriage. I repeated, marriage isn't easy. It will be tough, but it will pay off if you just continue to try. In my head, so many fucking times a day. It became part of my morning and evening prayers. The manipulation I ensued from the dick that I married was so insanely intense that the only thing I feel adequately describes how I felt is Stockholm Syndrome, where one falls in love with their captor. Stockholm Syndrome is also more commonly known as a trauma bond. Did y'all know that? Similar, but not to be confused with codependency. And believe it or not, the two can exist at the same time in a relationship. Let me spell this out for you. A codependent individual believes that their abuser needs them to care for them, while placing the abuser's needs above their own. This is an unintentional power transfer that is extremely fucking unhealthy. Trust me, I'm not an expert, but I lived it. A trauma-bonded individual is addicted to the relationship. They see the abuser's action as love, true love, but it's not. When someone is trauma-bonded, it is impossible to understand why you keep going back to or letting your abuser back in your life. Trauma-bonded individuals experience what is known as cognitive dissonance, where there is an extreme disconnect between what is actually happening in the relationship versus what is actually going on in real life, which is extremely harmful abuse. Additionally, on a chemical level, when a person is traumatized by an abusive partner, the brain releases chemicals which stimulate both trauma bonding and mental health issues. Depression, anxiety, you name it. Among the many chemicals automatically released in the brain because of relationship trauma is a very important one. Meet oxytocin. Oxytocin is extremely responsive in social situations. In high perpetual levels, it can cause emotional dysregulation, anxiety, and addiction. This chemical response is why victims become not only emotionally, but physically addicted to the abusive relationship. Interesting, isn't it? Dick was searching for his next big win, and here I was, searching for my next high from a trauma oxytocin release. It's so profound to me that we can become addicted to something or someone without even the slightest inclination that we've become an addict. Codependency isn't love. Trauma bonds aren't love. Love should never be a fucking addiction. But I digress. In episode 7, you will meet Marissa, my lifelong bestie above the resties. And let me tell you now, she has some strong feelings about all of this. She misses no opportunity to tell you exactly how she feels about Dick, myself, and the situation as a whole. Listen closely, Because when you get us in a room together, we yak. And we yak fast. So come join Marissa and I as we take you on the first leg of our cross-country road trip, ending in yet another attempted abandonment, followed by an uncomfortable out-of-body experience, and a profound moment that I should have never let happen. I'm Amanda Arnier, and this is the Dichotomy Diaries. Is this weird for you?
So fucking weird.
So, I have a special guest here today to interview me. And we've known each other for, how long is it?
Since 6th grade.
Do you want to tell that story?
I thought you were going to ask me to do the math, and I was like, that's a hard fucking no. Yeah, I mean, I was like the most popular kid in school, and no, I'm just kidding. You knocked on the door in gym class, and I opened the door for you, and the rest is history.
That's true. She was chivalrous. No, we have been best friends. I think it's like 20 years. About, I don't know. We'll just say 20 years, give or take.
Yeah.
We are part of a group that we call the Sexy Cinco. There's 5 of us, and we've all, you know, been really good friends for that same amount of time, really. But we all went our separate ways a little bit. But we're back together now.
Mm-hmm.
So, let me introduce you to Marissa.
Hello.
This is actually the friend that I talk about in the EDC episode.
One of the many best friends.
Yeah, one of the many best friends.
The one that does not call you mommy.
Yeah, she's like, what the fuck? People call you mommy?
I was like, I'd rather punch you in the fucking face than ever call you mommy.
It really was more of an Arizona thing, I think. It was like me reinventing myself there, and I'm like, hey, so it's going to be Arnier and not Arnier, and also...
Call me mommy.
I'm your mommy, you fucking bitch. So I do want to talk about that before we get into like the recap and start this episode. But like, talk about when Dick reached out to you, like to kind of reconnect us.
I guess I should have looked back in my text, but I don't exactly know what it said, but it basically was just like, hey, reaching out on Amanda's behalf and wanted to invite you to EDC, like she's missed you, blah, blah, blah. We have an extra ticket. So I accepted the invitation. We went, we had a good time. And yeah, I mean, I took a lot of cute photos of you guys. He was super nice. And then...
What was your perception of us, I guess, like for seeing me for the first time and knowing me my whole life, and then seeing me with somebody that I like, you hadn't seen me with a significant other, like.
Well, not trying to be a creep, but I know we weren't speaking for a year, but I still like saw photos and stuff like that. You looked happy.
Yeah.
And I know you, so I was like, oh, you know, she seems very like in love, I guess. And then when I met him, he was obviously super nice. I think it would have been very fucking weird if he tried to be anything other than nice, considering he was the one who reached out to me first on your behalf, like I said. But I don't know. I mean, we met kind of like, I guess, essentially in a party environment. So that was like, I think everybody was in a great mood.
I think it's really hard sometimes for like listeners and even me, honestly, like to understand how he could be so cruel in like all the other episodes.
Well, people
but
like
then
that's what they're good at. They're being sneaky, and
yeah,
you know, when you're the type of person, I will say, that does, and I've told you this, and I'm gonna just be pretty raw, but you're the type of person that overshares, and kind of sometimes it can seem like you're boasting about your relationship kind of thing. So you never know how to take it, but he did live up to that in the eyes of other people when he was around them, meeting them, always trying to act like he was on his A game kind of thing. And I don't know about other people, but to me that kind of seems a little suspicious. And because I know you, like when I first met him, you guys seemed happy, like super happy.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't anything like to be concerned about until he offered to drive me home from EDC, which is like a freaking hour drive. I don't know. And
it was from. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, it was like a 5 o'clock in the morning, but
Matt's house or
okay,
whatever.
yeah.
yeah, because I had went to bed. You guys all stayed up, and he offered to drive me home. And that conversation was just him ripping on all of your friends.
Like what? With no names?
Oh, he didn't mention names. He basically just concluded everybody in it as a whole. That, yeah, I tell Amanda, and just with this smirk on his face, he's like, yeah, I tell Amanda, like, her friends are just pieces of shit, and, we're older, so we have to hang out. We just got to elevate ourselves and hang out with, like, better people. Like, sorry, but that's just not really what I'm about, going to bars every weekend and, like, doing the whole party scene. Like, me and my friends, we go on yachts, and I'm like, now looking back, those yachts are fucking a bunch of gay dudes that you were paid to be on that yacht with. Like, get the fuck out of here. And then he actually mentioned, which is actually hilarious, like, thank you for the ride, I want to make it home, but if I didn't have a destination, I would have probably karate chopped him in the throat, because he literally called himself the mayor of Las Vegas. He's like, it's really hard for me, like, to not go places and, like, see someone I know. And I'm just sitting here like, I don't fucking care. Like, just get me home. We're in a Prius.
And it's so...
Dude, we're in a fucking Prius.
It's also so funny because not once in our entire relationship, and, like, you know this too, because how many opportunities did we have for people to, like, help us out, or, like, if you had connections, like, that he could have got them if he was the mayor.
Oh, yeah, he's so well connected, No, you're fucking not. And you're just way in over your head, my guy. I don't know. He seemed so pompous in that moment. He really ruined anything that he was doing well for himself to get me to like him, which I didn't care. Like, you're obviously one of my closest friends, basically family. So for me, he didn't really have to try. Just be your fucking self and make my friend happy. It's as simple as that. But he overdid it, and I think he was using it, like, taking advantage of the fact that I hadn't been around in the last year. So when I had brought up to you, like, the issues that I had, that made us kind of part ways for that year. Mm-hmm. He was taking advantage of that moment to kind of, I don't know, relate to me or resonate with me on some different type of twisted level, if that makes sense.
I also think, too, that he was
kind of
data collecting, because, like...
No, he wasn't. He didn't let me fucking speak. All he wanted to do was boast about himself. And I'm just like, where are these yachts? Because I've been creeping on her fucking pictures. I haven't seen her on a yacht. The fuck is this yacht? You talking about the dinghy on the Fox River?
These fucking vacations that you're going to take me on that never you go on alone. Yeah. I think that that's really important information to know. Because... I'm getting
so heated, like, remembering these things. God. I had to be respectful, but I was just like, God, you sound like such a fucking douche.
I just think that, like, especially EDC, because raving for us was one of those moments that I always looked forward to. Like, so when we would go to raves and stuff, everything was always so good. And I really truthfully would, like, live for those moments, because we always had them, like, planned and,
well, yeah,
whatever.
But let me stop you there, because we've obviously all been to festivals. We've done, like, gone to concerts and shit like that. But, like, anyone's going to be happy on the happy drug.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the moment where all that shit faded away for you in that moment. So, yeah, of course, that's what you're looking forward to. But I want to let these listeners know that you're not some, like, druggie or anything like that. But, like, those were the moments where all that other stuff probably faded away for you guys, and you could just truly be in the moment. But
I think I was, like, subscribed to this idea that, like, when we were on ecstasy or Molly, he was on shrooms, that was, like, the most pure version of
I felt that way with a fucking teddy bear one time. Like, literally, dude, it didn't give me any ill will. Like, it was just nice to me. It looked me in my eyes. Shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, like, it's not real. It is in a sense, but I think what it was he didn't have his phone out.
Yeah,
he was
and
paying
also
attention to you and singing, and you guys had something to relate on.
Yeah, like, he'd talk about, like, his feelings and emotions and stuff like that, which I did not get on a normal daily basis. Yeah. So, yeah, but good insight. So, we should just start talking about what we're going to talk about today. But first, so where we left off in episode 6, he was about to leave again. I had been packing up the whole entire fucking house. He's sitting there camming, loses $40,000 on the couch. I don't know. Bet online, but some...
So weak.
Fucking slots, probably. It was probably slots, which is crazy to do slots at home.
Which, by the way, anybody who wins money like that, if they're a responsible adult, they would actually take out most of that, be responsible, and have some type of fucking discipline, invest the rest, and play with this a little bit. You don't just gamble the whole fucking thing. You're so stupid.
It's wild because when he didn't take that money out, the 40 grand or whatever he had from when he was in Hawaii, he had told me that there was like withdrawal limits. He was like, well, I can't. And I'm like, okay, so now you have to have self-control to not gamble it, right? And he was like, oh, but I can in like 3 days. Like he would like made up these fake rules that like either the website or like whatever he was withdrawing to, Cash App, whatever it was, that he couldn't withdraw over 10 grand or over $1 grand
a
day.
Amount of time
Yeah, like it was, and I don't know if necessarily that's true, but I know for sure he could have withdrew all of it at once and that would have worked when I told him. But instead of doing that, he left it in there, and that's...
He might have had to like take some extra steps to do it, but it's possible probably.
Yeah, it's who he is as a person to lie, but also to like want to, oh, well, if I ran this up, like I don't know how much he started with, but I ran this up to 40 grand, like he's fucking God, right? So he can obviously turn it into 400K, right? It's like, no, dude, that has never ever worked. So he lost the money. His demeanor all changed. I was getting pissed because he wasn't helping me, and then I like noticed that something was wrong. And I asked him to see the phone. I find out that he lost all the money, and he basically like takes the Mac under his arm like he's gonna go and leave, fucking pull it down, throw it on the floor, and basically
or you went to go throw it, right?
I went to go throw it. Oh yeah, and I like ripped the cord as he was walking and like hurt my finger. And I was basically just like looking at him, and in this moment I was just so fucking done from like having 2 weeks of 120 degree weather, selling my shit, all these strangers coming in my house.
But let me stop because I want the listeners to understand who you are. You're the type of person, at least with your friends and stuff, you've always been pretty vocal. Like, and I feel like with him you've had to be pretty passive aggressive and kind of bite your tongue and just take like deep breaths. Like, how many fucking deep breaths have you taken in your entire relationship with him? Like,
I will say, not passive aggressive, but passive.
Very passive, yeah. But like, no, passive aggressive because he can tell that something's wrong, but he just chose to ignore any and all signs and give a shit about your feelings at all to address them. He knew what he was doing, but he was like, she's not saying anything, so I can get away with it.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, you say like an overshare, right? I see my oversharing to him, what I see it as now, was me trying to get him to understand me better. And so when we had first met and I had told him about like my past relationships and stuff, I did tell him that truthfully I was like a yeller and a screamer, like that, and that, you know, it was a very, very toxic environment, throwing, hitting. So that was like the one promise you made to yourself, and like, no one's gonna make me break this promise to myself. Like, you don't have, for sure, you may not get it, but I understand, like, this is something that I made myself this promise that I'm not gonna be like my mom or whatever. Totally. And like, I didn't, like, for the longest time I didn't react, and I didn't react in an unhealthy way, you're right, because I would just like not talk about it. Why don't you say, oh, fucking, who the hell do you think you're talking to? You're like, Marissa, no, I don't. I honestly didn't even swear at him. Yeah, like a lot. A lot. Like, no. Which I kind of admire, but also I was like, God, let me do it. I have nothing to lose. I hate this guy. Yeah, it was a really weird time because I did feel like I was like just sitting on my hands the whole time, just watching everything bad happen to me, but also trying to like be strategic about the next steps because I was always looking towards the future, and he just lives in the right now. Yeah, and that's gotta suck too because I feel like you're constantly in like I don't mean to keep cutting you off. No, I'm fine. You're constantly in survival mode. You can never just relax. You're completely hypervigilant at all times. You're picking and choosing your battles because one wrong thing, he's just going to be a little bitch like per usual and get up and run away or whatever. And you have to sit there and like think like, okay, once I sell all my stuff and we go back to Vegas, which by the way, I had been trying to get you to move to Vegas since I did. And you were always like, fuck that place, no way. Like, no, I'm always going to stay in Arizona. I love it, which it did become a part of you. Like, that was part of your identity and you loved it. Yeah. So when I heard you were moving to Vegas, I was like, something's fucking up because what the hell? There was no chance in hell she would ever move here. But like, you're constantly looking for that. What's the word? Like final stop, or what am I trying to say? That I feel like it's like the saving grace. Like he was just never happy anywhere, and like I've mentioned it so many times, it was like I was always aiming for the goalpost. But, like, he had it, and he kept moving it. And so there was never, ever a time when I would be able to reach it. So close, but so far away. Yeah, and that just...
You can never, neither of you could just ever truly live in the moment, which brings me back to the EDC thing. That was the only time, really, besides the gambling, where no phones at the table, that you can actually just connect and be there in the moment with each other.
Yeah. So I guess that I had enough till now. And I just let him have it. And I was like, listen.
What did you say?
I said something along the lines of listen, this cannot happen again. You're going to leave me right now after all this. You came back and now you're going to leave. I said, if you leave, if you abandon me again, I 100% will let everybody know what kind of person you are and the things that you do. And I don't know how I'm going to do this, but maybe I'll make a podcast. And
had you been thinking about that, or was that something that just popped in your mind at the moment and you're like, fuck, that was good?
Well, I was actually thinking about it in terms of me and him doing it together.
I feel like there was a little part of you that was kind of making a backup plan. I don't fully trust him, and I gotta do something if he does this again, because you can't trust him. I watched him say his vows.
Yeah.
And say, that's another thing we should talk about.
His vows are fucking hilarious.
Can I say that at the wedding? Just jump in really quick?
Yeah, you talk whatever you want.
God, he fucking pissed me off. So, EDC, the second time I saw you guys, got invited to the wedding, drove 5.5 hours to Sedona, went there. Obviously, you guys already listened to it. You know what happened at the wedding. You were having a great time. I thought you handled it extremely well with such grace, and, especially with his family not being Mormon and not agreeing with drinking or anything like that. So that was very respectful of you guys. But I texted you in the morning and I was like, hey, what are you doing? I'm a little hungover. I want to go get some food. I don't want to go alone, but Sedona's beautiful. I don't want to just drive back to Vegas right now. Let's go do that. And you said, yeah, we're just finishing up packing the house, the Airbnb. Come over here. I get there, starving and hungover, okay? I'm sure everyone's felt that way. 3 hours fucking later, I'm packing in the goddamn Sedona heat, carrying shit down. I mean, if you guys saw this Airbnb, it was gorgeous, but it was on the side of a cliff, so it's not the shortest walk to the cars. Packing up the car, and just a straight shot to the bedroom, watching this fucking pussy lay on the bed and just not give a shit that people, including someone he's only met once before, and he never even had anything in his goddamn throat. What are you doing?
I know,
said,
and how was
stupid fucking muscles to work and help?
How was I during that time? I'm pretty sure that I was
you were making everyone smoothies
and making excuses for him.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything because your other friend that had helped plan the wedding was there, and just everyone was getting everything done. But I didn't want to be the bearer of bad news. But holy shit, I wanted to be fuck this guy.
Well, my dad was there helping, and my aunt, and my ex was there. And
I was more mad because I was starving, and he was eating into my drive home. I was going to hit traffic. I'm like, can you please go get some freaking eggs? I'm starving. And he just laid there. And then he didn't help until the very last box that I was Tetrising in your freaking Jeep.
Yeah.
Then he came out, and I'm like, oh, hi. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, congratulations on your marriage, you fucking
these guys
dick.
still got his hospital band on. He's like, oh my God, are you okay? So I wanted to ask, while I was there, could you tell anybody's... I mean, I didn't even read anybody else's emotions. Everybody just seemed like they were, gung-ho, get everything done, let's get out as soon as possible. But did you feel any type of, anxiety that you knew maybe what people were thinking without saying it, that he was just in there being a lazy piece of shit? Or at least on my fucking face, because you can read me like a book.
So, truthfully...
I apologize for my potty mouth.
No, don't apologize, because this is part of what I really am
everybody else so far has been super PG, and I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah, no. And me too, though. I was PG for so fucking long, and just being able to freely say fuck and talk how I normally talk has been you don't even know. I'm the happiest person that I can talk to everybody, and I could be like, hey, fuck that pussy. And people look at me not weird.
I know I already said it, but God, the P word. So sharp.
So there had been so many times when maybe we got invited to a friend's house that had just moved in, and they asked for our help, and we would go over as a couple. And when we got there, I feel like they're inviting me and him to move furniture because of him, because of his muscles, right? They're not like, whatever, maybe they need a little bit of help from me, but he would never help. He would, and even like dinner, right? At family's house, he would always disappear when it was time to do the dishes or help. At my dad's house, if we were doing something outside with the dogs and then there's something need to be done, well,
yeah, because he has no brain, he has no integrity. He uses his body to make money.
It's like, where's Dick? Like,
behind it, like he
at all, but also doesn't feel bad, which is key in those moments.
Because nobody calls him out on it.
I know.
Everyone lets him get away scot-free, and that's why I was like, God, fucking put me in, coach. I want to rip this motherfucker apart. I'm not kidding. Like, you know me, I hate moving. Literally, one of my Facebook freaking stories came up from like 2011, and I literally wrote like, God, I hate moving or anything that doesn't involve laying down. Like, yeah. I hate it. And you, hands down, are one of the smartest people I've ever met. One of the most driven people. And yeah, you'll complain and bitch about it, but like, you'll get it done. You don't procrastinate. You're one of the hardest workers I know. And there's, just to kind of recap a little bit, there's some times where like your mom I would come over and she would give you a task to do. Yeah. And I'd be sitting there waiting, like, are we going to hang out? Are we going to go like do some shit? And you're like rearranging the entire fucking house. And she tried to put me to work. And I'm like, Tina, fuck right off. I'm going to do it because I'm
a good delegator. Like, that's for sure.
No, but you get shit done. And I think he took advantage of that. So like, yes. Yeah, maybe people invited him because he has muscles and hoping he could, help. But you were the alpha in that relationship. I don't want you to forget that.
Thank you. That makes me feel good. He called me mommy a few times.
We're not getting into that. I'm not drunk enough for that.
Oh, fuck. So yeah, I guess in that moment I did. It was one of those other times where I could tell that people were like, well, fuck, where is he? Where's Dick? And then it fell back on me. And then my reaction at that time was to make an excuse for him. And I always had excuses for him. And so that's just what I did. But like, to answer your question, I always knew how people felt about him. Always.
Did he know that you knew? Did you talk about this behind closed doors? Did you ever address it with him? Like, hey, you're kind of making me look bad and you're making me look like a weak bitch.
Not about specific situations, not pertaining to the wedding at all. I think that there was a lot of times where, like here at my mom's house, holidays, he'd disappear. And I'd be like, I'd text him. Because text communication was way easier for us than verbal communication face-to-face. He was a very good communicator. Like, he would communicate well via text. And so I would be like, hey, can you come down here? Like, you need to help. And
was
then
he using Grammarly?
I have no idea. No fucking idea. But like that's how that usually went for us. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. He always just disappeared. He never, and the fact that he didn't feel bad about it, I think is like the key takeaway is that it doesn't matter who he offends. He only thinks about himself. And truly, it's hard for me to comprehend how someone could do that to multiple different people, and especially me. But the reality is like, these kind of people, we can't understand them because we have normal brains. And I mean, semi-normal, but
understand them because they don't probably even understand that there's something wrong with them.
No, they think that they think that everything they're doing.
But
is,
at what point
good.
Did you start to realize, okay, this motherfucker's kind of selfish and shows zero remorse? And I know I married this person, but like, is this how the rest of my life is going to be? Because obviously it transpired into only getting worse over time, and you turn into, like you said in the last episode, I think, I turned into the biggest yes woman.
Yeah. I think that I knew that he was pretty self-centered, like, from the very beginning, but he made it seem like his self-centered, egotistical, just pompous self was a positive character attribute.
Like, he was above everything. Like, he's meant for more.
Right. Well, I mean, he literally said that he was like sent from God. He said that to me like a bunch of times. I
remember the conversation. We were sitting in your kitchen. It was in Las Vegas, and my boyfriend at the time had like texted me, and he looked at me in my face and he goes, "He's not your boyfriend. We've been dating for over a year at that point." And I said, "Excuse me?" And he was like, "He's not your boyfriend." I know that, if I didn't answer somebody, like, I was cheating. And I'm just like, who the fuck does this guy think he is? He's never met him at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, who do you think you are to tell me that my boyfriend's not my boyfriend? It was just so off the wall. I'm like, okay. out of respect for Amanda, I will not slap you in the fucking face right now with a cold piece of ham. Because I think it might have been, what was it? You made food.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't know.
There was a lot of times where you like would text me and be like, "Can you believe that he just said that?" And I would be like, "Oh, it's okay. It's fine. It's how he is." That's what I always would say to you. It's how he is. Mean
that. And I go, I don't give a fuck if he doesn't mean it. Like, you're gonna learn today. Don't talk to me like that. Like, I have no patience, which is hilarious in hindsight for what I put up with. But like, for somebody that I owe nothing to. Who do you think you are? And I can see that you're so in love. Because I'm telling you, and listeners, you guys don't understand Amanda. She's always been this high-spirited, like, I don't want to say party girl, because you really weren't. It took a lot to get you to go out sometimes.
I mean, we definitely raged, and I definitely enjoyed my party time. But I was social.
So, yeah, you were a socialite, and honestly, kind of like the, God, I'm losing my train of thought, but, like, what is the, like, I don't want to say the staple, but like what we were talking about.
Oh, like the pillar?
The pillar, basically. Like, you always were the one to have people over.
Yeah.
You were the one that, like, kind of brought other friends.
I had the house that had the Christmas tree and the holiday parties.
And you had, you were the one that kind of brought other friends together. Like, we would always all text you, like, hey, what are we doing tonight? Blah, blah, blah. And then you would have to make the plans. And, you just kind of brought everyone together. So, I don't know. It's just, I fucking hate him. I really do. He sucked. He didn't know who you were, and just to see him kind of diminish who you were little by little, like, just kind of break you down and to see you be quiet. But before that, watching your vows, like, me and you hadn't squashed what we went through, like, to the fullest. And after not speaking for a year, we did EDC. That was the first time we had spoken, and then the wedding. And watching your vows, I cried because I was like, holy shit, no offense, Amanda, but I was like, I didn't know this bitch could fall in love. I thought maybe she might be a little bit of a sociopath or something because I never have seen you. Like, the vows were beautiful. They were so genuine and heartfelt, and I was like, wow, she found her person.
Yeah.
And then come to find out he didn't even write his. He just spoke off the top of his head and,
Yeah, that's crazy. He did put in a good act, though, for coming off the top of his head. I remember being up there at that moment. And again, I hate public speaking in front of, like, actual crowds. Podcasting is fine, but I was so nervous and I was so shaky. But that moment was the moment that I had looked forward to, that made everything that I had gone through in the past year worth it. And here we were. And so I was just trying to be, like, the most present and the most there. And everything that I was saying, like, I really, truly meant, like, to the fullest extent. And so that's why it was so emotional for me. I really felt like I was having an out-of-body experience at that moment.
Well, yeah. I mean, people need to, like, have a little bit more, I guess, empathy towards the fact that, like, yeah, your wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life, but not to mention everything on top of what you've been doing, and you did it all on your own, and just it was like that final, oh my god, what is the word? Not resting spot, but like you said, that
the goalpost,
like, that was super emotional for you, and then just like a fucking narcissist would, had to ruin it.
Make it about him in some way that people would feel bad for him and victim mentality.
Yeah, but dude, you handled that so well. Like, yeah, you went later to the hospital, but, like, you stayed and you just engaged with everybody. It was a beautiful wedding. It was. You looked absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I really am sorry. I feel really bad because I was there to witness it, and it was just like, how could he do this? There's something that I just felt in my freaking bones that was just, he didn't want to be there, and that was his way of getting out of it. However, you left your fucking family there for your now wife to entertain and explain to everyone on your behalf. Like, I don't think he truly realized what a dumbass he was making himself look like. People were admiring you because they could see what was happening. They were admiring your strength. I don't want you to think people were thinking you were stupid in that moment. And maybe listeners now are sitting here thinking every episode, like, God, you still went on to marry this motherfucker?
What the fuck, Amanda? Yeah.
But...
Well, I mean, I've even actually had a lot of his family reach out to me and to protect the anonymity. What?
Look at my mouth.
Yeah.
Anonymity.
Look
at my mouth.
Look at my mouth. I literally just was like zoomed in on her mouth. To protect their anonymity. No. To keep their shit private.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to keep their shit private, really, a lot of them had reached out, and these were people that I had invited to the wedding, or these were people that I knew were family members, maybe distant, maybe not, but that I wanted to have a relationship with because he had told me that his relationship with his family wasn't so great. I thought that it was my job to rekindle those bonds, but I never got messages back, and I felt really bad about that. Well, since all of this has transpired, most of them have reached out to me and have said things along the lines of, they apologize first, I'm so sorry this happened to you, and then they apologize the second time and said, I'm so sorry that I didn't warn you. And
well, because they probably thought, like, holy shit, this is different this time. Like, maybe he's changing. We hope he's changing, and they didn't want to ruin it.
That's what they said. They were like, truthfully, all of us, and they all have said, all of us, like, there was communication about this amongst them.
It's a little piece of hope for him.
Yeah, that he had finally turned over a new leaf. Like, everything that had happened with all of the girls in the past wasn't going to happen this time because, truthfully to them, it was a little bit different because he was very public about our relationship, whereas in the past, he wasn't. And then it went on to the next step. What he's been engaged before. He was engaged a bunch of times. But it never got to the point where they were planning a wedding.
Wasn't he...
He was married before.
I mean, you can stop me now if this hasn't been brought up, but wasn't he... Didn't you find out he proposed to someone before he, like, met you, or he was still with somebody?
Yeah, and that's a super, like... That's
I don't know if you
talk about. I haven't talked about that yet, but that's somebody that is going to be interviewed, her and her mom.
I mean, dude, seriously, like, I just want to ask, like... This, and this is not trying to sound like disrespectful in any way, but like, I feel like it came down to a certain point where you were constantly trying to prove that you were worthy of loving because you are pretty traditional. Mm-hmm. I mean, you, not in a sense of like the complete opposite of feminism or anything like that, but traditional gender roles, right?
Yeah,
and so
that's
I think he took advantage of it almost like a little bitch boy, like a little baby that needed to be taken care of. He didn't actually want to be a husband. He just wanted a wife. And I think it was just like a way for him to... Everything was a conquering moment. Oh, I conquered this. And then let's see what I can get her to do and what I can get away with. How much I can get away with. And I guess what I want to ask is like, at what point were you like, he fucking gave up his child. Like that, people literally would die for their kids. So he gave up his child. So what makes you think that he would go above and beyond for you?
The fact that I didn't know that it... I mean, we'll talk about this. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much because that's a huge thing for that episode. But that's not what I knew as the truth. You know, like the truth to me was that he was a sad dad that wanted to see his daughter, would do anything to get his daughter back. And so the thought process of how could he do that, you didn't know. I didn't think of that because what he was showing me all the time was remorse and try and I don't know, it was just sadness. Really, he would always talk about her. So
doesn't that kind of make you sick though to think back on, like he played it like
it is
he
sick.
Was so sad and now you know the truth and that was never the case.
He's literally like the sickest person that I know. Like he's like
and not like
real
sick
life,
like an asshole, like he's
villain.
Ill.
Yeah, he's like a villain.
And the worst part and so frustrating is like there's literally no point in trying with people like that because they don't believe or would ever understand that they're sick. You try to tell them that and it's just backlash.
Yeah, it's rough because again that I mean her picture is right there, like
oh my god, she's fucking adorable.
I know, like that's really hard for me to talk about because my future plan in my head was that I had my husband and that we had children and that we of our own and then we had a house and that his daughter was in the mix of that. And always, every single time I wrote in my journal, every single time I wrote anything, anywhere about our future, her name was always after his.
How often did he, I don't know, you said he wasn't very good at sharing his emotions, but maybe even on like the festival nights and you guys would have deep conversations. What would those deep conversations look like? And would she come up a lot? Would he bring them up or would you?
I think that his daughter came up all the time, if not every day, like definitely multiple times a week. And it was more so like not about, and looking back, this is ironic or funny, I don't know, but it's like, it was more so like talking shit about her mom, not about like what he could do in the present to be more proactive or set his life up to be like a better dad or potentially like get her back or anything like that. So, that now that I know.
Did you ever kind of see? Because you're pretty freaking good at reading people when it comes to stuff like that. And I think even with your family,
I was not good at reading him. That is, and truthfully, now I will not say that I'm good at reading people because
and that's what sucks. You, after a situation like this, you start not trusting yourself and your own intuition.
100%. It's like, how could I trust myself? Well, if I can't trust myself, I at least have to have tools to be able to navigate life.
Which, unfortunately, makes you standoffish.
But also, like, I didn't have them at that time because I wasn't in therapy like I am now again. And I didn't have, like, the, I don't know, like the clear part of my mind to like reflect on the things that were happening, or I really didn't have anything to compare to because I didn't have people around me that were also in healthy relationships because I fucking had nobody around me. Yeah. And, there was not a lot of people that would see us.
And I wasn't in a healthy relationship. So.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there also weren't people that would see us in like not party moments.
Were there ever times where you were like embarrassed to bring him around or maybe hesitant because you just thought, not just because you thought people were going to judge him, but you knew that he was just going to rip on those people and like make you feel like you didn't hang out with people good enough?
Usually the only time I really felt like that was actually when we were home in Huntley, because I always felt like he judged me because he's like, oh, Las Vegas is the mecca of the universe, and like I feel so blessed to be from Las Vegas, and I'm like,
and no one knows you when you go at places,
right? But then I'm like, I'm from good old like fucking Huntley, Illinois, and I feel like I always felt like when I was here that he was judging me, that this is where I was from. And I'm like, now that I felt bad about that.
Fucking fun. Like now, like even looking at Instagram, like everybody's like, oh, that Midwest hometown feel. Like it's something that I tried to also, move away from. And I'm glad I did. It kind of made me grow as a person and see other walks of life. But then I sometimes feel bad for people too. And I'm like, you talk like this? No, that's terrible accent, but like you talk like a fucking valley girl. You have no substance and you have no idea what it's like to, I don't know, run around and play Ghost in the Graveyard in the middle of a fucking field.
Drink from a water hose. I feel like that makes me sound like I'm from the 80s or something, but I definitely did that. The Chicago water.
Oh yeah, when you weren't allowed to come inside unless it was to use the bathroom. Like, go outside, and when the lights came on, you come inside. But I mean, we didn't have phones. It was a whole different thing. But like, I don't know how people grew up on the West Coast, but living in Vegas,
I just can't imagine that it would be the same kind of upbringing as us. But I also now
you can't even have bonfires there.
I also know
because the heat is so bad. Like
we do actually
fire hazard
here. But yeah, what I'm saying is, I guess that like I felt bad because I started to belittle myself based off of how I felt that he perceived me. And
did he ever talk shit about me?
Of course he did.
Tell me.
No, we have to get into this episode. We'll talk about this in another. We haven't even started on the episode.
Oh my God.
This is what happens. 38 minutes in, you guys. Imagine being in the same room as us. Some of you have been, and you're like, fuck, don't do it.
Can't get a fucking word in with me.
Yeah, no. I mean, I loved growing up here. I didn't love a lot of times that I did live here, and it was bad for me, whether that was getting divorced before or whatever it was going on, but I wanted to get away, and I'm very happy that I did because I think that I'm a more well-rounded person, but I forgot about the Amanda that was here before, and I wasn't like proud of her as the Arizona version. And so now, like, coming and talking to everybody live, I'm like, I feel so good to be like, yeah, I'm just Amanda. Like, I'm not Arizona Amanda. I'm not Huntley Amanda. It's just like, I'm just Amanda. And if you want to get to know me, like, you get to know the fact that I grew up in fucking podunk, middle of nowhere, and like that's fine. But I also I've been, in the fucking Sistine Chapel, or like I'm well-rounded.
I think a lot of people like kind of just, like even before Dick, like I think the perception that you played was, or that people thought from like our small hometown was like, oh, Amanda's bougie, Amanda's stuck up, and that's, I think, what they saw on social media, but you can't believe everything you see on social media because I know you.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just, you also are very humble. I think this whole experience, honestly, the silver lining in all of it, it has humbled you. It's made you grow and learn about yourself as a person and say, fuck it all. I'm going to be who I am. And it's made you learn a lot about yourself. So I think just in hindsight, I mean, look what you're doing. You know,
Yeah.
You're going to save a lot of people from his bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely.
And you kept true to your word, something he never did.
Yeah, that's the part that
I'm
actually.
going to make a fucking podcast about you, bitch.
I definitely wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing this to like prove him wrong, but that I was doing it to prove myself right, because I found myself so often in our relationship planning things that never happened, that it was like a forever, like this hamster wheel of like me being like, okay, I'm going to make plans because plans feel good. We should have structure. And then because of him not being able to hit those. And so it was like 2.5 full fucking years of just me never hitting a goal. And that really
like
made
perpetual letdowns.
And it was always letdowns. And so then I was like, you know what? I am the only person that's in charge of this podcast, this story. Like, this is my story. And I can tell it however the fuck I want to tell it. I'm with integrity, right? And everything that I'm saying is true and actually what happened. But at the same time, I think that I was very scared to do it.
So I guess let's wrap it up a little bit. I just wanted to kind of clarify some things because I know myself even, and probably a lot of listeners that don't know you are sitting here every episode like, how the fuck did you still marry this asshole after everything he did? But you guys really do not understand, until you do, what it's like to be part of a trauma bond. And when you are 33 years old or 32 years old and you're thinking you're going to spend your life with someone and you actually mean it to your core and you love this person and you see their flaws and you want to help them through it. So you put all of your time and energy almost to a fault of putting yourself on the back burner.
100% to a fault.
To a huge fault, but like you don't realize it while you're in it. You're like, if we can just get past this milestone, past this part, and everything is just like a constant battle, and you want to fix them. And you, Amanda, you are a fixer. You've always been.
And I think that from professionally, personally, like in family situations, definitely a fixer. But I will say that I think a lot of what validated me keep trying to fix him and look beyond all of the faults and all of the red flags and stuff is that I didn't have people in my corner telling me, no, that's not okay. All I had was like social media.
Can I stop you there? Because I want to just ask this on behalf of maybe anyone who might be listening. They might be thinking, no, we fucking tried and you shut us down. And I don't know if that's because, again, I wasn't there. I didn't read any text or anything like that. But do you think it was one of two things? Maybe they tried to reach out, like you were talking about your Arizona friends who found those things online, tried to reach out to you, and then they just completely shut you out. So my thing is, it's like, maybe they felt like, of course, you said, be my friend, be supportive. And maybe they couldn't feel supportive of you. So they thought, I'm going to remove myself. Well, you felt, again, abandoned by your friends because they should have. This is just cowardly of anyone who would do this, because I don't know if you've reached out, but if you did reach out and say like, hey, why aren't you speaking to me? Fucking use your words. You're a goddamn adult. Like, what do you have to lose? It's a text message. You're not face to face. You're not backed into a fucking corner. Say, hey, I can't support you in this, so I'm going to remove myself. And then that's up to you to either respect that or get upset. But to not give you any type of like pretense or, hey, I'm going to remove myself just to completely never speak to you again is so fucking cowardly and such a piece of shit move. And whoever's listening that's done this, I don't have anybody's name off the top of my head, but like, dude, come on, seriously, how the fuck would you feel if someone did that to you? And now listening, look what it's done.
Yeah, and I also, like, with those specific individuals in Arizona, like, it's really out of context, or it's not even equitable to what they found on the internet was what they found on the internet. It was a fact that they found. It wasn't actively going on. And
at that time.
At that time, right. And they made a judgment about him, showed it to me, asked what I thought. This is either going to be your soulmate because they knew about my past with all of the same kind of stuff, or you're going to be devastated. Why would you say that to me?
And then not respect
when I say this is my soulmate, not believe me. And so truthfully, all of those individuals,
I don't think that they didn't believe you. I think they thought, oh, well, we don't like him and we don't want to be a part of that. We don't want to be associated with somebody like that.
But everything that he was showing me and them at that point in real life was not anything that they should not support. That's my point. My point
regardless,
is like,
at the end of the day, it's your fucking relationship.
Yeah.
And if it, at that point, none of all this shit has even happened
That's
yet.
what I'm
so
saying.
It's like
I would have like truthfully, like the best friend that left me, that helped me plan the wedding and all of that stuff. Like, I get it. I get her shit. I do.
Get it if that
because
was the reason,
she experienced all of the craziness with me and supported me.
You guys talked about everything.
Right. All the time. But the other ones, they didn't fucking.
That was
they
at the
weren't,
beginning.
They weren't there. They were seeing him take me out to dinner. They were seeing him fucking post me on the internet. There was only positive things that they saw, and still in that moment they chose to dip out, and that's fine. Like, I don't truthfully, because that's who they are and that's what they did. They show the true colors, so I don't care to have them in my life.
Do you feel like it was a sad excuse to remove themselves from your life? Like they were waiting for something along the lines of like, oh, this is our opportunity. Like, did something else happen before Dick, like that in your guys' friendship? Because everything I saw, you guys were fucking gung-ho, like the best of friends. We were
literally like having sleepovers and together almost every single day.
But then when you started hanging out with Dick all the time, it kind of got less and less. And maybe I don't want to say jealous, but like kind of, you know how like some people are like, oh, you're hanging out with him more than me.
Yeah,
which is fucking child mentality.
I don't know. I can't even be in their mind, but also at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to be, because whatever they thought, because they thought that what they did was okay, they weren't the people that I thought that they were.
And let me be clear, I've met these people and I like them.
Yeah.
I just think it's like, say it with your chest. Like, you got nothing to lose. And honestly, like, I feel like you aren't the person who just won't respond. You'll be like, you know what, that sucks. Can we talk about it? Or I respect your decision. They could have given you that.
Yeah, I'm a communicator, and it was weird to not be communicated to so many fucking times.
Did you ask a bunch of times? Like, because all these episodes, at least once in every fucking episode, you're like, I don't have people around me, I don't have whatever. But
yeah, I mean, but that really is the reality, and it wasn't for lack of try.
And I'm not gonna lie, there was a certain point where I seriously thought you were the fucking common denominator. I was like, what is Amanda doing?
Me too, dude. Me too.
I was like, something's going on that she's not telling me. And then when I actually asked other people who are friends with them, like, not even they know.
I know, and that's the crazy part, and that's the validating piece to me, that I didn't. The whole time I was thinking that I was the problem, or that I did something wrong for fucking years, and then I was like, no, dude, people, that's their shit. That's their shit. Yeah. So,
all right, let's get into like, okay, so you told him that you were gonna make a podcast.
What was his response? Told him I was gonna make a podcast. Yeah. So his response was fucking hilarious. So he was crying. And how could you say that you would do that to me? I trusted you with all of the things that I told you. And I'm like, you can trust me. But you have to prove now, because you've disproved it so many times, that you're like worthy of me still being there for you. Like
it's like, why are you fucking scared, bro? If you actually mean what you say and you're not going to leave me again, why would that be
right? I'm literally like, just fucking prove it. And so he's crying, he's having a moment, and when he's in those like kind of pathetic like victim moments, he reverts back to like the person, like he tries to get you to like fall in love with him again in those moments. So then it was like, okay,
that's that breadcrumbing.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna turn off the camming. I'm gonna pack my computer, which made me feel good, because I'm like, oh well, now I'm gonna have full him, but he still had his phone. Right? So then he starts like helping me pack up the rest of the house, and he actually was like, okay, I want to leave tomorrow morning. And I was like looking at the house, and I'm like, we have to still go get a storage unit in the morning, because what our plan was that we were going to take all of the kitchen stuff, excess clothes, whatever, we're going to put them into these bins, we're going to put them in a storage unit right next door to our apartment, and then once we found the place where we wanted to settle down, we'd come back and get our stuff, our bed, just all of the stuff we didn't need for this road trip.
Had you even broken the lease yet? Like,
I had told them, yeah. And I actually, the leasing office, I was able to provide them with like my disability paperwork. And so it wasn't even a lease breaking. It was an early termination without penalty. Because obviously I didn't want that on my shit. So she's like, we're going to leave tomorrow. And I'm like, that's fucking wild that you think that we'll be able to both of us move that, the sleep number bed. And like, we had a couch in there and I was like, what am I going to do with this? I'm not like, we're going to have to throw it away. There was a lot of stuff that was left over that I was like, I don't need anymore. And I also had a full garage full of stuff that didn't sell from the estate sale. And so in the morning when we woke up, we separated our stuff. This pile is what we're taking with us on the road trip. This pile is going to storage. We took it all to storage and we got that done. And then there was just stuff left over. And what I did was I just called like, I think it was like Catholic Charities. And I was like, hey, like had to leave town really quick. And there's a whole garage. Here's the code. And there's a whole like.
They just come get it?
Yeah. And they just came and got it. Because I also didn't want to have like the fee from the.
And you're now under pressure because you're like, shit, he wants to leave. How do I get this done quickly?
Yeah. And so I was just like, okay, just give it away then. It's like,
what did he ever, because you had mentioned that you made like 10 grand from the estate sale. Did he ever say like, where's the money? Or did you put it in your joint account? Like, did he ever try to access that money?
He did. He actually was like, how much money did you make from selling all the stuff? And I was like, it's like 10, 11 grand. And he was like, oh, well, you sold my couch and you sold my artwork. Like, where's my money? And it was like, not even kidding. Like the stuff that I sold of his.
As you fucking cashed in your 401k for this bitch.
Yeah. Like the stuff that I sold of his, it was probably like $300. And I was just like.
Yeah. Cause he probably got a fucking third hand off.
I'm like, get fucked, like I'm not giving you $300. Like
you probably didn't even pay for it. It's probably from one of his exes.
Yeah. Or sugar daddies. Like,
yeah.
Who knows? So we pack up the cars. And it's okay. So I say cars, right? So we're going on a road trip and you would think, oh yeah, it's cute. You guys can sing in the car and you have the dogs. No. So he wanted to have his car with him because if we were going to be someplace for a month or 2 months, like how is he going to be able to navigate? Well, in reality, it's like, how am I going to be able to escape? Probably. But we were driving 2 cars. So he had his full of like stuff, our stuff. I had my Jeep and I had the dogs in the back. And I think I had a thing on the top with like our clothes. And so we just started on the road trip. And so the destination was to come back here to Huntley, the first destination. And the reason being for that was because we had a music festival to go to, Lost Lands, that was in Columbus, that was going to be coming up within like 2 or 3 weeks.
Was that was the honeymoon gift from your ice skater friend?
Yeah, so that was the honeymoon gift, and I was very excited, and he said he was excited about that. So we decided to come here, spend some time like with my mom and all of that stuff, because she was also really concerned about what was going on. She's like, this is very spontaneous, and like, we should talk.
And you're a planner, so she's probably like, what the fuck is going on?
And so we get on the road to Huntley, Illinois. So our first stop was actually in Oklahoma. I want to say that it was like Tulsa. I remember we went and grabbed like Olive Garden to go, and then we checked into a La Quinta because we could have the dogs there. And so we have the 2 dogs, and I think we were watching like sports or something. And we just ended up going to bed, and then we got back on the road. And so like, think about like, let me just like paint the picture. He's in front of me. I'm behind him. We're driving. I'm listening to like a lot of like audiobooks, like podcasts. He would send me like YouTube videos or something like, watch this. So we were like communicating constantly. But there's always these times where I just like would feel like a weird twinge in my stomach where if I hadn't like talked to him in like an hour and we'd been driving and like we didn't have to stop in the next, however long.
Did you think that maybe he was talking to that girl, or?
I thought that like, I don't really know what I thought. Yes, I thought he was talking and that he would be on the phone, because sometimes I would like drive and like pass him and then I could see that he was talking and I was like, who the fuck is he talking to, So as we're on our way from Oklahoma, I was really trying to like start conversation with him like over text and be like, hey, how are you feeling about things, like really doing these like check-in moments. And he was being a little bit distant, and I'm like, dude, like, please don't fucking start this. We're literally on the road, whatever. And so me being paranoid, but actually justified, looked at the AT&T records or Verizon, whoever we had at the time, and I saw that he was having like 90, 120-minute calls with that girl. So the girl that he told me he was going to stop talking to for sure.
The Florida girl?
Not the Florida girl, the Arizona girl. So the Arizona girl that I heard him over the dog camera talking to.
Oh, my bad. I thought that was the Florida girl.
No. The Florida girl never actually talked to him again because she's smart and beautiful and responsible. And so I saw that. And then there was actually some other numbers too that I didn't know who they were. And because now that you guys kind of understand like my headspace in these moments, we are literally on the road towards what seems like a good path. We're gonna do something. We're doing something together. We've agreed on it. So I just didn't bring it up. I like did what I do best, and I just stored it in my brain or in my notes. And I was like, okay, like I'll if I need that later. So we actually also at this time had started kind of like brainstorming. We're like listening to like Jordan Peterson and like just like really inspiring like philosophical talks. So we're trying to figure out, I'm on leave from work and I'm still getting paid, but how could we do a business? Like what is a business that we could do? And so I came up with this idea that because of how successful my marketing efforts and process and really like making what he did legit worked for him, and actually surprising myself in that I didn't really know that space at all, and I was able to help him grow exponentially. I was like, why couldn't I do that for other people? Especially like women. Like there's so many women. And so when we would stop at overnight, wherever we would stop, like definitely in Oklahoma, I know I was looking for like OnlyFans like Facebook groups, or going on Reddit and looking and just seeing people who were like promoting their stuff and kind of looking at their page and being like, well, this could use a little bit of work. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And I was like, what do you think about that? What do you think about that, Dick? Like, what if I do like adult content consulting? He's like, I think that's a great idea. Well, how are we going to price that out? And because I didn't really have anybody as like a use case to kind of say, or like a case study of like, yes, look, I did it, besides him, we were going to go off of like a percentage basis. So kind of just like kept that in my head, and that was exciting to talk about, because it is always exciting to talk about like new business endeavors and stuff. And I also wanted to, again, like prove myself to him that like, yes, I wasn't working.
Did you ever like think like, what the fuck are you bringing to the table? Like, what are you bringing to the fucking table, Dick? Like, besides your dick. Seriously, where's your brain at? All you do is, like, make me feel like shit and make me constantly feel like I have to prove myself and never know where we stand. I'm constantly on this hamster wheel, and, like, I'm the fucking brains of this endeavor. And, like, going back to the moment...
I actually knew that. I knew the whole time that I was smarter than him.
Yeah, but how fucking frustrating it must be to look at somebody who's beneath you and you have to, like... love them through it, but dumb yourself down and make them comfortable, and then they still treat you like you're beneath them, and you want to just strangle them and be like, do you know how fucking stupid you are? Just your face, your voice, everything's stupid. You bring nothing to the goddamn table. The table is at the fucking children's table, and I'm bringing you the adult table. You piece of shit, know your place, sit the fuck down. I hate this guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
He's so dumb and so cocky, and I just hate that it's not even an act. He truly, to his core, believes that he's better than everyone. And there's nothing upstairs.
Yeah, it's very empty. I don't necessarily know if I felt like any kind of way about like being the brains of the operation. All I will say is that he had ideas. He has lots of ideas. But his ideas are like ideas of grandeur. And so they're like things like
unattainable.
Like the most unattainable. I'm gonna own the Dodgers. And I'm like, bruh.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know like numbers like this, but I would say probably you would have had to start being successful and smart and not a fucking complete asshole like in your early 20s to like maybe even, but probably not even. Like that's so unattainable. Also things like I want to have a yacht and I want to have a fucking like Bugatti.
But he's so conceited, he probably thinks if I whip my dick out a few times I might get that client that'll let me.
Well, he thinks that he's going to find the whale. You know, he's going to find the whale client that's going to be like, I'll give you whatever you want. The whale?
Like, what, fucking Free Willy? What are you talking about?
No, like the term the whale means like the guy with the money, like it's the big one.
Yeah,
like the
piggy bank guy.
Yeah, I think that's what he always really felt like he would run into. But again, how weird is that for somebody to think that, have all of these crazy goals that are also extremely materialistic, like everything was a thing, right? I'm going to have the daughters, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. And also be literally, like, it's not controllable for him. He has no control over whether or not somebody else is going to be stupid enough to give him money because of how he looks. Like that.
He really thought that he was probably the hottest person in the world. And then the second he opens his mouth, it's like,
yeah, it's,
I'm sorry. I know that, like, I don't want to sit here and just bash him because you're at a place in your life where you feel nothing for him. But it's like one of those things where, like, if I'm talking shit about my family or I get in a fight with my sister or something like that, and then someone says something about her, I'm like, yo, fuck you. Like,
yeah, but see, that's your family though. He's not my family.
No, I know, I'm saying, but like there had been times where you'd be sitting here venting maybe, and I just started ripping on him, and you, with all respect, you should have been fucking pissed, but it people don't understand when they're sitting here, like, and I'm sure you've gotten messages like that too, like, fuck that guy, he's a pussy, oh, he's gay, blah blah, and it's like, that's not helping, because now you're just making me want to defend him, and I don't need to be in that headspace.
Yeah, I don't feel, it doesn't make me mad when people say stuff like that anymore.
Well, now.
But I think that probably like 2 weeks ago I crossed this threshold where I was like, wow, fuck him. I really don't fucking care. Like, dick who, you know? Like, and it's weird because I didn't ever see myself getting to the point. I really thought my whole life that I would somewhere inside of me think that he was redeemable or something, and that scared me a little bit, but this process has been really helpful in like getting me past the point where, like, when people talk about him, like, I validate what they say because the majority of the time they're right. Like, again, the one thing that I will not ever agree with that people say is that he's gay, and
I used to ask you,
yeah, and
all
like
the time, I
have my opinions
seriously?
on sexuality, his sexuality, but again, I will only speak the truth in this podcast. So
but you also have a lot more experience with the adult content world than most people. So a lot of people can have their opinions and not understand it. Like me, for instance, I'm the first person to be like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, he's gay." And that's fine, you're gay, but like, don't marry someone if you're gay. Don't make them change their fucking convert religions. Like, if anybody knows you, like, they know like how much you pride yourself on being that Italian Catholic, like. You did all these things for him, and he just kept chipping away at you, and people don't get it. They're just like probably shaking, like they want to shake you and grab you by the throat. Yeah. Like, what the fuck were you thinking?
A lot of people have literally told me, they're like, I just want to fuck. Like, also people are like, I wish I could go back in time and like take you out of that. Which
you wouldn't have been ready. You wouldn't have listened to that.
Probably not. I probably wouldn't. That's also what all of the other girls say too. They are like, you know, when it was me, not you.
And honestly, Amanda, yeah, people probably feel bad like when they're reaching out to you and saying, I should have warned you. It wouldn't have done anything. Yeah. Because in that moment, you were so used to defending him.
There was one goal, and the goal was to make him happy. That's it. Because
when he's happy, you guys could be finally happy.
Happy dick is a dick that I'm in his life and we have future plans, and unhappy dick is so unsure and all of this stuff. And also that's a really good point.
You just saw somebody who was, I guess, lost, and you wanted to be his backbone and, you know, be his strength. That's part of being like a wife and serving your husband.
I literally thought that that's what I was supposed to do. I thought that maybe my past marriage had failed because I wasn't in this headspace of like, hey, I need to pick up the slack when my person can't. And so I was subscribed to this notion
that's just common baseline though. You were begging for bare minimum and he wasn't even reaching that. And then once he did start to give you a little bit of a bare minimum, then you're like, oh, I'll take it. I'll take anything. I love this. Yeah. And then probably unbeknownst to you, but to him, he's probably like, the entire time, like, we keep calling him stupid and stuff like that, and he is when it comes to like business and shit like that and just common fucking sense. But when it comes to a relationship, he knew how to master manipulate you. He's done it to countless other women. He's doing it right now to his current girlfriend. I guarantee I'd put my life on it. But he knows what he's doing. Like, this is a job to him. He is a con man. He is a fraud. And I hope anyone who's listening, whoever encounters him, does not fall for his bullshit. And if any of you sugar daddies are listening, he's fucking playing you. But you're a dumbass and you keep falling for it. Yeah. But keep giving him money because he owes Amanda.
I will I will say, too, before we hop back into the story, I spoke with his dad one time, and this is one of the most profound things that I had ever heard about him. He said when he was really younger that he asked him, after experiencing Dick kind of do this kind of thing to girlfriends, not on a very serious level,
his dad did?
but yeah, like his dad had seen him go through women very fast, and I think that his dad had said something to him along the lines of like, Dick, like why do you do this to women? And his response was, because it's so easy.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I mean
His dad told you that?
yeah, and I'll get into that conversation as we get more into like present day, but that was a really profound
Did you
moment
tell
for
him?
me. Did I tell him that his dad said that?
Yeah, because he lives and breathes and try to make his dad happy, but I think he's maybe, from what I understand, maybe trying to follow in his footsteps. From what he had told me, he thinks his dad's like the greatest man that ever walked on earth.
Yeah, that's what he tells everybody. I did tell him, but we will get to that when we get into like, I think it was in June of this year. So we're still right now in like September.
Okay, so you had brought up the adult content.
Yeah, the
managing.
business, and I also felt like I was like I always had to feel like I was proving myself to him. Like I have to earn my seat at the table when I was literally like, I was the table, you know? And so this business idea that I had thought up in my head, which I truthfully, it still could be a very good business idea. He was like on board with it, and he even went as far as to say like, I will help with like if there's male clients and you don't want to do that, or we can share the workload. And so like, okay, this is a project that we can do together that maybe could help us grow closer, and we could see each other's strengths. And that's how I kind of looked at everything like that. So let's see, we actually we went a weird way. I've never gone this way before, to drive home to Illinois, and we went through Kansas, and I was like, you know, me with like Wizard of Oz and like Dorothy, like it was awesome. But we got there.
Did you buy fucking sparkly red heels?
No, but they had them all over the gas stations. It was so.
I would have been clicking that shit all around Kansas.
But so when we stopped there, we were just really like ready, because like Oklahoma to Kansas, and it's just like all plains. I was ready to just fucking like sleep. And this place in Kansas, whatever city that we were in, it like there was no hotels. And I was like, what the fuck? And so it was always my job when we were stopping to figure out the hotel.
Why didn't you guys just whip out that tent that you went in Happy Jack?
That's literally what we did.
Oh.
Yeah. So like I had the tent on the top of like my Jeep or whatever. And it was the middle of the night, and I like turned the brights on of the Jeep, and I like fucking pitched the tent, blew up the air mattress, put the sheets.
You did that?
I did all of it. Yeah.
What the fuck did he do?
He's always like doing
Eat
something.
more chips?
He had to go to he had to go to the bathroom, right? And it was gone for 15 minutes. Or he was looking for something.
Was he jerking it in a porta potty for $10? Like, I don't understand why he was gone for so long.
But that's the thing, is like it's like when
why did you let him? I would have put a leash around his fucking neck, since he wants to be such a submissive.
I was tired.
And pulled his ass back and been like, at least feed the goddamn dogs.
Yeah, I was tired. I think he took the dogs for like to go pee or something. Probably. I don't even know.
Is my skin red? I'm getting hot. I hate this guy so much. I want to literally strangle him.
No, you're not. So, it's like, why a tent? Well, we probably could have driven a little bit further and found a hotel. But truthfully, I was like, hey, $15 to stay in this KOA campground. Like, I'm cool with sleeping in a tent. Like,
you're hoping there's no service.
Love it. Yeah. Like, cool. Like, this is fun. So we woke up in the morning. I slept so good, because we had like the slings off the top of it, like stars. It was cool. There was a breeze. We woke up in the morning, and because it was so dark at nighttime, I didn't even realize that the campsite that we had gotten was like right next to the train tracks. And I woke up to like literally this like freight train, like the dogs were freaking the fuck out. I have a video of it.
Me, dude.
Yeah, I have
was
a video.
He microdosing at this point too? Because could you imagine?
I don't think so. I think that we had like ran out of those. But he was definitely injecting himself with drugs, steroids. It was cheap. I was in this mentality of like, we're saving money, because whenever we find a place that we like, we're going to have a deposit for a house. So any kind of money, pennies, whatever it is to save.
Or tokens.
Yeah, or tokens, ChatterBait tokens. We're going to save those. So we finally get to Huntley at my mom's house, and together he actually helped, because my mom at this point too, she like talks directly to him. Like, it's no more beating around the bush with him. It's like, if he's not helping, she's like, hello, no, come over here and unpack your stuff.
Your mom's pretty assertive.
She wasn't initially like very assertive with him, but now she's pissed off with him all the time, and so it's like, okay.
So you had been telling your mom the truth by this point, or to
parts of the truth. Yeah, for sure, parts of the truth. So we unload our stuff. and we're going to be staying in Huntley for like a week or two. And so this room right here. So we brought our clothes up here. We brought his computer up here so that he can continue to work, because it's like, that's his job, and it's the only thing that he does to make money. And so we set his computer up like right here, that the desk that used to be right here, lighting. Okay. This is my childhood bedroom. Like, the fact that he was camming in here is honestly so crazy to me. But for me, my job now,
did your mom know he was upstairs camming?
Yeah. So when
I could see your mom downstairs with like a fucking, like, just her ear to the wall. Like,
she's got a cup against the wall.
Yeah.
No, when he had quit his job and we decided that he was going to do that like full time again, I had told my mom that is what was going to happen, and she didn't. I don't necessarily feel like she felt one which way, and I mean, the next episode, we'll hear from her about how she felt about that. But I felt like I could freely talk about whatever we were doing with her, and she would also ask a lot of questions. Like, there was a lot of times where he would have to come up here and say, like, have a 3-hour call with the sugar daddy Jamie, right, and be in a suit, and we're at my mom's house, and so it's like, well, why is Dick in a suit? And so then I would like explain to her, and
so Jamie's the one that had the suit.
Yeah, Jamie's the one that always wanted to be like, it was kind of like companionship and but also like poppers and fucking whiskey and whatever. Yeah, so she would ask some questions, and I would. It was just very transparent with her for the most part about what he was doing, what our business looked like, and also now I am here at my mom's house, like trying to formulate this new consulting plan that I have, and getting contracts put together, getting like pricing models and all of that kind of stuff, doing marketing, and I enjoyed that piece of setting up a business, so I felt happy. And he was working. I feel like money was coming in. We were playing tennis down the street at Sunset Park. Like, it seemed good. And it was fall time. So, like, fall time here is, like, for me, really, really good. And it makes me happy.
Yeah, because in the desert, you don't get that kind of foliage.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is awesome. So, now it is time to go to Lost Lands. And so Columbus from here, I think, is like a 6-hour drive. And so I got our bags together. We had bought also like cute outfits. It's a dinosaur dubstep festival, and it's like
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, big giant life size like dinosaurs, and I'm so stoked. Millennium's gonna be there. It's Excision's festival, Sullivan King, all of it. And so I packed our bags because whenever we went anywhere, I always packed our bags. And
did you do that because you were afraid like maybe he would have something in there, like maybe his laptop, and he was gonna run?
No, I just
he has in the past.
I just didn't want him to fucking complain about having to complain about anything. So I just took over the responsibility of doing it because
God, he's such a little baby bitch.
Yeah. So I packed our bags, and I don't remember exactly how this happened, but you know what it was? He goes, okay, grab the stuff. I'm going to go to the gas station, fill the car up with gas, get us some Ghost Energy drinks. We always drink those fucking things. And when I get back, we just bring it out and throw it in the trunk. Okay. So he leaves. I pack the bag. I bring the bag downstairs. My mom's downstairs, and she's like, where's Dick? And I'm like,
oh my God.
What do you mean? And I'm like, he went to the gas station. He should be right back. And she's like, oh, okay. All right. So then it's like 5 minutes, and I'm talking about the mobile, like right over there.
Yeah.
It's like 2 seconds away. And I'm like, okay, where is he? And so then I had to pull up the fucking Find My Friends app, the anxiety app, and like I can't see him. And then I call him, and he doesn't answer. And I call him, and he doesn't answer. And mind you, this was probably like Thursday, and the festival had a Thursday night thing, and a Friday and Saturday, Sunday, and our friends, like the Italian ice skater, was going to meet us there on Saturday. So we had one whole day where we were going to be alone and a night. So I'm like, there's no possible way, right?
Was your stuff in his car too?
We had taken it all out. Actually, we took it out and put it in my mom's garage, but I just had our suitcase. But so here's me. This is his computer is still here. And I'm like, no, for sure he's not leaving. Like, that was what was making me not freak out in that moment. Like, he left the computer. He's not leaving without it. Well, he didn't come back. And
For how long?
like for a while, like probably like 20, 30 minutes. And so I went into full blown fucking panic mode, and like
I would have checked the
I turned
the
his
call.
I turned his phone off. Like I went onto AT&T and
Because you probably thought he was having a call or something.
I thought that he was like running away. And so I turned his phone off. And on top of that, I actually like went into our bank accounts and into his bank account, and I like transferred our business bank account, like all the money, and I like locked the business bank account. Cause like I'm not taking your money, but like
yeah, and it's also a way for you to be like, I'm not fucking around.
yeah, like fucking call me. I don't know. Like what is even going on? So he, after I turned the phone off, he came back. Oh, you know what? Actually, fuck this. I forgot about this whole part. He actually went over to Verizon. I don't know how that I knew where he was because his location was off. And so he went to Verizon and he was like in the store. And so I'm here. I don't even know what
How
clothes
the
I
fuck
had
did
on.
he even find Verizon? He's not from here.
I don't know.
I'm from here. I don't even know what the fuck Verizon is.
Yeah, so he was at the Verizon on 47, and I saw that he was there, and my mom's like, where are you going? And I'm like, I got in my Jeep and I just fucking ripped it down 47, and I like saw his car in the parking lot, and I fucking pulled in like all diagonal, park right in front of the doors, and I walk in and I was like loud as fuck, and there's a bunch of people in there. I go, are you gonna fucking abandon me for like what, the 7th time? Or are you gonna be a man and like get in the fucking car and come back to the house? Like I was
What did he say?
He was like telling the guy that he was talking to, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like,
trying to make you look like a crazy bitch.
like I'm a crazy person.
Like women
right?
aren't crazy, men make us crazy.
Like it was insane. So we walk outside.
That's not true.
And
I'm a little crazy.
he like is standing in front of his car, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like really, really, like I didn't even have words, because I'm like, there is no way that I'm able to predict this now. It's just always happening. Like, he didn't seem sad. He didn't seem angry. Like, we're on a trip. We're halfway across the fucking country from Las Vegas right now. Where are you going to go? Are you truthfully going to drive all the way back to Las Vegas? Like,
he literally gave up his child so he can give up his shit at your house. And
yeah,
just
but
run
again,
away.
in that time, I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
You know? So it's like, I was like, you're mentally ill. Like, you have a problem. And like, he started to like kind of like admit that he was like depressed and like was feeling a certain type of way.
Yeah,
or
but he
like,
did
whatever.
that before, and that to me is like, you don't joke around about like mental illness. Not joke around, but like use it as the boy who cried wolf. And maybe you are, but like, I don't think you're depressed. I just think that you have commitment issues. I think you knew that you were conning someone that you thought was going to be an actual lawyer, that was going to be able to financially support you and let you do whatever the fuck you want. And you were too much woman for him because you actually demanded him to be better, and he wanted to just get away scot-free, and that's why he's going for now lower women who
don't speak English.
Yeah, okay, you said it. Yeah, don't speak English, so they can't catch on, and I feel bad for that woman, but whatever. She'll find out probably.
Yeah,
but also
the phone lines are always open, Ninita. But so I finally like convinced him to like come back to the house, and I don't really even think that I convinced him. I think that I was like, you're coming back to the fucking house. Like, you're coming back, and we're going. And so he came back, and I ran inside to get our bag, and my mom was in there, and she's like, he did it again, didn't he? And I was like, I was like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, we're going. Like, it's whatever. So I came up here to get my bag, and my mom was downstairs, and she's like, fuck this. And she like went out there, I guess, and I didn't even know this until later. She like went out there, and she actually like told him to leave and to never come back.
Yeah, but it's like, stop being a little bitch. Stop running away like a fucking coward. If you don't want to be married, then you shouldn't have fucking gone through with it. And to run away, like, what part of you can't sit down and look your now wife in the face and say, this isn't working. I keep cycling back to this mentality that I need to run. It's not you, it's me.
No, but the thing is that he did say that it was me.
No, I know, but like, he literally would just act like everything's okay and then run away like a little baby. Like, it's like, this is gross. And you expect me not to just like chase after you and be like, what's going on? Like, let me help you. Mm-hmm. When if you would have just looked me in my fucking face and stuck to it and said, I'm sorry. Like, it's just, I don't want to be married anymore. I want to continue to be a degenerate fucking gambler and piece of shit con artist, and I want to con the next woman because you're expecting too much of me, because I have faked it up until now in the regards of wanting to own the Dodgers.
Being in love. Like,
being in love.
That was the thing, is that there was many times where he would be like, I don't think I want to be married.
But I'm sick of these guys being like, oh, well, you wouldn't have taken no for an answer. Oh, I'm sorry. Are your hands are tied behind your fucking back?
Yeah.
No, it's just that you gambled away everything you had, and I was the one always coming up with a plan. I was the one who kept our heads just treading above water.
Yeah, like fucking barely. Yeah, I mean, but there was a lot of times where he said, like, I don't want to be married. I think that I don't want to be married.
And then he would text you.
But then he would say, but I love you. And so, like, that
you're
is...
my best friend. No
you're
one
my
has
best,
my back like
you're
you.
my best friend. And
it's just a mind fuck.
It's you and me against the world, Amanda. You know, and I'm sorry that I'm so fucked up. And so it was also like he was discarding me, like, emotionally, like, perpetually over and over. But then he was also, like, shelving me with the I love you and you're my best friend bullshit. So
and here you are like, well, how do I leave someone in their most vulnerable, darkest
moments?
Like
I just thought that he was fucking ill, and I was like, well, all I can do is be understanding and be helpful, because I'm the wife. Like, I'm the wife. So I guess my mom had said that, and he didn't leave, and we got in the car and we started driving to Columbus, and you know, we're probably having conversation about, like, dude, like, what the fuck, like, you need to fucking get this right. Like, you need to not run it. Like, all the stuff that you just said, I would say to him in those moments where I was heated. And
did you suggest therapy? Like, I don't get this.
Yeah, I was always like, I want to go to a counselor. You need to go to. I was like, you need to go to a counselor. You have a lot of shit. You have a lot of childhood shit. You have a lot of personal shit.
Well, too, it's not fair. Like, I mean, most counselors, especially with couples counseling, might want to see you two individually anyway, and then kind of like bring you two together to kind of be the mediator or figure out. Because a lot of couples, maybe when they go into couples therapy, aren't able to communicate or say what they want to say in front of their partner. So
yeah, but truthfully, and I mean, this was probably not a delusion. The delusional Amanda is like, I knew that I wasn't doing anything wrong. Like,
yeah, you were. You were staying with a fucking piece of shit.
No, but in terms to him, to make him feel that way, I was not going to couples therapy. Is like,
you
okay,
knew that you weren't.
What is this person doing that's making you not want to stay with them? And I knew that I was doing everything possible, and even more so, for him to want to stay with me, but he wasn't. So I really was suggesting you should go if I did. But so this is a funny part. He actually went to the, like, maybe gamble or something, that he needed to check his accounts on his phone in the car while we were driving. And when he did, he looked in his bank account and there's no money, because I had taken it out of there and put it into our account. And dude lost it, and he grabbed my phone out of my hand and he was like holding it out the window on, like, the highway on the way to Columbus. And he was like, how could you you're out of your fucking mind taking my money? That's an act of war, he said. And I was like, okay, it's like $25.63. Like, calm the fuck down, dude, you know? And so I was like, put my phone back in the car right now. Like, I'm being very, like, I was being super straight-faced. And so he brought it back in, and he, like, had this moment of, like, probably roid rage, where he, like, took my phone and he chucked it into the back seat, and it ended up, like, on the top of the back window, like, back there. And I thought it was gonna, honestly, like, break his back window, which would have been funny. But, like, my phone stayed back there then for, like, hours, because I was just like, well, fuck it, whatever. So I'll remind him how crazy he is later when he has to go and get it. But so we got to Lost Lands, and we didn't go the first night, actually. We just stayed at the hotel that we were staying at. And we had actually, like, got, like, party favors from a friend out here. And we were like, well, maybe we should just, like, test these out a little bit, because, like, I just want to know what we're getting into, you know. And we got there, it was probably like 7 o'clock or something. So we had, like, the whole night. All right. So these were, like, described to me as, like, European pressies.
The fuck?
European pressed ecstasy pills. And they looked like, for the listeners, and they looked like thicker than normal, like a double stack kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, that looks really intense. So I'm like, I'm going to take, like, a quarter. And he took a half. And so we're just expecting to, like, be rolling in our hotel room, and, you know, maybe we'll go for a walk or whatever, just kind of testing the waters, dipping our toes in. Bro. Oh. So the first part was he fell asleep. And I wish I could say this is the first time that this happened to me with like anybody, but like he fell asleep and then I'm full blown fucking rolling. Like so much rolling that I'm laying down on this bed in this hotel room and I can't stop fucking moving. I was switching like a rotisserie chicken. I was like moving my legs and I was like I don't know, I was like like my body just felt so uncomfortable in its own skin, but like good, but like why I was starting to freak out because I couldn't stop moving. I could not lay still, so I would like get up and I'd be like walking around. I'm looking, glaring at him like, how are you sleeping right now? Because he took double as much as I did. Okay, so on the TV was like a Rocky marathon. Okay, I watched 2 full fucking Rocky movies that I had never seen before, moving my legs around the whole time, basically like running a mile in my bed. And then he wakes up. Then he wakes up. And I looked at him and he's like, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize I was sleeping." I was like, "Did you film me moving around for like 3 hours just now?" And he's like, "Yeah, are you good?" And I'm like, I'm fucking rolling my balls off. And I've seen all of the Rockies. Like I really truthfully had never seen the ones that I watched. I was like, well, I finally got to watch those Rockies, so that's good. And
sounds like the worst movie to watch, just sitting there.
I also like.
Were you in a fucking La Quinta? Where were you?
I don't even know. I'm not sure what this one was. It might have even been like a
Best Western
or like a motel something.
I thought he was so well connected. Did he use points?
Maybe not in Columbus. But no, it wasn't a bad hotel. It was just like, it wasn't great. But so he woke up and then I think he had said something like, I felt like I was starting to roll in my sleep. So I woke up and I'm like, well, it's good to know that it takes about 3 hours for yours to kick in, because it took about 3 fucking minutes for mine to kick in. And I'm like, I'm freaking out right now, Dick. I'm like, I'm freaking out and I don't really know what to do. Should I take a shower? It was not fun for me anymore and it wouldn't go away. And he's like, all right, let's go for a walk. Also, terrible idea. So we put on we had I don't know, Adidas, matching Adidas tracksuits. So we have we're matching,
God,
okay?
I just imagine you looking like you're part of the fucking Squid Games and those green tracksuits.
We literally had the same color, Adidas tracksuits. And there was a gas station that was, I don't know, it was 2 blocks away. You could see it from the hotel. And by this time now, it's probably midnight, 12:30. So we're walking. It's cold. I'm shivering because you know how I get sometimes when I'm like the rolly feeling, your teeth chattering, your jaw just I'm doing that. I walk into this gas station because I'm like, I'm gonna get some candy, rehydrate myself, and there's way too many people in there for 12:30, and they're all looking at me, and I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Everything is freaking me out and setting me off, and we walk back and he's like, let's take the long way. And we're holding hands. He's happy-go-lucky. I'm like, you're so weird.
It's just fucking cracking wrists.
Dude, seriously, cracking wrists, cracking the ankles. We get back to the room and it's finally starting to wear down. And truthfully, full disclosure, right? When we got back to the room, we had sex for probably 4.5 to 5 hours.
Did he sing? I'm sorry.
No, he didn't. He didn't
he bust
sing.
out the karaoke machine?
No, there's no singing, but we definitely had sex for 4.5 to 5 hours. And I just remember halfway through, I was kind of this, okay, well, that was fun. When's this going to be over? But it was you know how it is when you're rolling. And I was like, what else are we going to do?
Dried up prunes.
I remember that he actually took a picture. I was laying on the bed and my boobs were out, and I remember him snapping a picture and he actually posted it to his Instagram. I'm an idiot. I definitely didn't mean Instagram. He posted it to his OnlyFans.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and he posted on there
Talk
and
about
it said,
an act of fucking war. I would kill someone. Oh my God.
What he said was just made my girl come 13 times in a row, what you on, or something like that. And I remember seeing it the next day.
That is so fucking degrading. And also, how much are you trying to prove that you're not gay?
I'm
No
just
offense, but seriously.
You know, the only thing that I was offended out of that whole thing was that he called me my girl and not my wife. Truthfully. Isn't that crazy? Yes. Yes, Ghost of Amanda Past. It is crazy. But hey, at least I finished the Rocky series. Am I right? Oh, honorable mention. 4 hours of sex? Yeah. I faked most of those orgasms. And I'm not the least bit sorry about it. 5, and I am tapping out. I hope y'all enjoyed episode 7, Rocky Road Trip. We tangent off a bit in this one, so I hope you were able to stay on track and keep up with Marissa and I hope you now have a better insight as to how those closest to me at this time perceived Dick. There actually couldn't be a better segue into what to expect next. In episode 8, you will meet the woman herself, my mom, and hear all of her takes on every little thing that happened from the moment I met Dick. You'll finish off the road trip with us, and you won't believe where we end up. See you next week, and as always, thank you for listening, sharing, reviewing, and being here with me. I'm Amanda Arnier, and this is the Dichotomy Diaries.
It's not over yet till you taste regret. It's not over.